You know, one of the questions I get asked fairly often by potential clients centers around the idea of why is training valuable and when is it worth it? Now, I can cite a lot of statistics and have shared some before about how leadership training, engagement work, strengths, etc., all lead to better outcomes, but the how often seems pretty invisible. So this year I've made a graphic to kind of talk about this a little bit. What you can see here is we can find lots of statistics that say good leadership training, strengths work, diversity, equity, and inclusion work, engagement, all of these things can lead to better productivity, morale, collaboration, and retention, and many other great outcomes. But the middle of the funnel is hazy. How does that go from one to the other? How does this actually work? So part of what I really want to do in 2024 is make this funnel transparent. Because what that question mark really represents is the day-to-day life of a leader. What happens every single day. That looks like meetings, looks like on-the-spot feedback, planning, goal setting, coaching, mediating, evaluation meetings, one-on-ones, making decisions, delegating, holding people accountable, all these things that a leader needs to do or a manager needs to do on a daily basis with their people. The reality is that training is only valuable when it helps us take the concepts and the ideas that we're learning about and make them actionable in this day-to-day work. So if you are considering training at the beginning of the year, which is an excellent way to get your team started, to help really boost morale and figure out what you want everybody to be doing over the course of the year, one of the first questions you want to ask a potential training partner is, tell me about how your stuff is actionable, right? There is a lot of really interesting leadership training out there that will give you a lot of concepts, a lot of ideas that will really help you think in different ways, and you'll have a good time in the meeting, but you won't really necessarily know what to do with that the next time you end up in a conflict with one of your people. So what I want to ask you to do is to really think about how is the training that you are purchasing going to be actionable? You want your people to walk away knowing actions they're going to take. So I'm going to give you some examples. When we talk about strengths work, the first part of strengths work is understanding the concept and the theory and why it matters and what the individual strengths are. If we do a 1-hour strength session, that's about as far as we get, and that is not really actionable. What you want somebody who's bringing strengths in your organization to do is not only to help each person in the training understand their strengths, right? And being able to see them in themselves, but also know how to develop those strengths further and how to act on them, how to use them. So one of the things I really try to do in training is make sure that if we're talking about strengths, we are not skipping the aim part. Gallup has a framework that we use for teaching strengths, and it goes name, claim, aim. You need to be able to name the strengths, and then you need to be able to claim them and understand how they really work for you. But the final and maybe most important is you need to be able to aim them. You need to be able to look and go, okay, for instance, one of my top strengths is strategic. One of the ways that I aim strategic is by really thinking at the beginning of the year about how I want the whole year to go and thinking about what action steps I'm going to take on a daily and a weekly basis that are going to get me to those goals. That is a type of thinking that I really love and that I happen to be pretty good at because of that strategic strength. There are lots of other examples of how to make this actionable, but the takeaway today is if you are considering some sort of training or development for your people, ask some questions about how it's going to be actionable in the day-to-day life of your leaders and managers.